superhero, villain,
Monsters and mad scientists.
you got it. The New York spot is here at the 2013
Comic-Con.
Hey guys, so we are here Comic Con day number 2 in New York City with Mr. Neal Adams. How are you? How is Comic Con treating you?
It's treating me fine, but I'm not going to talk funny like you.
Why?
Because I don't talk like a girl.
Oh.
Here we are at Comic Con.
Should I make it sexy?
Neal Adams.
Should I make it sexy? Like your picture?
Just give
You
me-
want real. Okay, so we're going to give you a real.
All right. So
How long have you been doing all this wonderful drawings?
I've been doing these drawings since the pigs ate my sister.
That's a long
It was
time.
a very sad day. So to console myself, I started drawing pictures, and those pigs outside were eating my sister, and I thought, I think I'm going to be an artist.
You taught him a lesson.
Because I want to get off the farm.
Yeah.
I've lost like 5 or 6 brothers and sisters
Okay.
to the pigs,
Okay.
and I thought that's the last sister I'm going to lose to the pigs. And from then on, I started drawing comic books.
Good for you.
I started drawing Archie comics.
Oh, did you?
That's right. I think that working on the farm leads to drawing Archie comics. Maybe it does, maybe it doesn't. I don't really know, but for me, it did.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Are you still trying to figure that out, whether or not the pigs
No,
helped
I'm
you
not,
with your
because
career?
I try to drive it out of my mind, but every once in a while somebody comes and asks me these questions, and then it climbs into
I'm
my
so
mind
sorry.
again, and having your sister eaten like that by the...
Very sad.
Terrible.
Very, very
It is a
sad.
very sad story, and I'm
Question.
sorry that I had to expose your audience to it, but there you go. We're talking about comic books here, folks. Get the sad look off your face.
Smile.
Smile. You're on Candid Video.
So, quick question: were you a huge comic book fan from the time you were a little kid, or?
I was not a huge comic book fan. I wasn't a huge anything. I was a huge kid playing and jumping in the mud like everybody else. And I read comic books, and back in my day, you notice how older people say that? Back in my day, I carried comic books in my back pocket because you could only afford to buy 1 or 2 comic books a week. Now everybody buys, like $400 worth of comic books a week, and or about that. And what we did when we were kids is Joe would buy a comic book, and Fred would buy a comic book, and Charlie Root would buy a comic book. That's the only real name.
Okay.
And I would buy a
looking for
comic
them.
book, and then, and what you would do is you read your comic book, and then you trade with the next kid, and then trade with the next kid, until you got to read all of them, but you only had to buy one.
Makes sense.
Does it make sense? And so we traded comics. That's how
Early
we're.
age recycling. The
It's
beginning of
recycling of comic books.
So, did you ever see yourself working with DC? Like, was that like a huge? How big was that for you?
Ever?
Yeah.
Well, not ever. I mean, at some point along the way, I went to
It was a goal.
I went to get work at DC with a portfolio out of high school, and they basically dismissed me and told me to go away, even though my work was brilliant
And still is.
and still is.
Wait, and you didn't tell them about the pig story, and they still turned you
No,
away?
They would be, people in business, they don't care. Cold-hearted farts that they are. Anyway, back in those days, everybody expected comic books to go out of business, because at one point, you guys don't know about this, but the Congress had attacked comic books. The Congress, back when you were kids, you heard about the Army McCarthy hearings. Remember in school, they attacked communists, and then when they finished attacking communists and they got rid of Joe McCarthy, they didn't have anything else to do, so they turned the dictionary over and they went, comic books, we'll attack comic books. Why don't we do that? They attacked comic books, but they did it on television. And all parents in America went, oh, that must be bad for my kids, so they told their kids, don't read comic books. Then the shit hit the fan because everybody was gone. So then all these comic book companies went out of business. And all you were left with was Casper the Dead Baby. Isn't Casper a dead baby? I'm sorry. That's what I thought he was.
He looks like one.
But it was
I'm
Casper
with
the
you on
Friendly-
that.
Casper the Friendly Ghost. Seems like, and Little Dot, right, and Little Audrey, and then there was Lottie Lotovus, a big fat girl, and then there was Archie, and then there was really lousy comic books by Dell and people like that. And DC Comics had Superman and Batman and sort of Wonder Woman every once in a while, because guys in comics don't read girls, and we have to teach them because they're dumbheads. Okay? I was going to say shitheads.
We're glad you did it.
And some really great comic books because they had formed this comics code. The comics code was a self-inflicted organization that said you can't do this and you can't do that. And it was really stupid. So that it led to certain comics like My Greatest Adventure and Mr. District Attorney and Pat Boone Comics. So anyway, it was bad. And everybody thought the comic books were going to go out of business. So I entered the business where everybody thought comics were going to go out of business. Next year, kid, there's not going to be comic books anymore. Oh, but I want to draw comics. No, I'm sorry, you can't. We're going to be out of business. Don't do this. Go get a real job with real people, and just right. They really say this about comics. There's nobody within 5 years my junior and 5 years my senior in comic books. That was dead time. Dead time. I don't have like people I know.
Yeah, but you went against the grain, and look how you came out on top.
I win.
There you go.
Yeah, guess what? Look at this. Of course I won.
Oh yeah, I can see how comics make no business.
Yeah, no business.
Yeah.
It's going to be out of business in a year. I don't think so. You want to bet? Yeah, I'll bet. I win, you lose.
And look at all this stuff.
You've definitely done an amazing job.
I didn't do it all by myself.
Yes, you
well,
did.
actually, I did. You're right.
Yeah, take the credit. Take the credit.
I take it back. From the pig pen to this.
It's all you.
It's incredible. It's all me. I did it all. That's right.
So
little
what's-
applause. Yeah, little applause.
So tell us, what's next? What's next? What do you have going on next?
Well, I just recently did a thing called Batman Odyssey, which is a fantastic book, and you ought to read it. Then I did first X-Men, which was the X-Men before the X-Men. Then I did a Batman zombie story, which is a cultural change for everybody in the comic book business as soon as they figure it out. And now I'm going to...
He's awesome. I love this guy.
Then I'm going to do Superman. I'm going to be doing Superman. I did Batman. I did X-Men.
Oh, I thought you
Why
were going to
not?
wear
Why
the
not?
costume. Okay.
Oh, no. I'm
No.
not gonna. So I'm going to do Superman, and it's going to be very surprising. Things that you could not imagine.
Cool.
And it's going to be cool as hell.
I like that. It's cool as hell.
And then we have our own little publishing company. We're going to do some of the characters that we used to publish about 12 years ago that everybody's been waiting for us to do, and we are going to do them and kind of kick the business in the ass one more time. Because, every once in a while, every like 5 years or so, you're going to need to kick the business in the ass. Why? Because otherwise we'll go out of business. There's only,
Right.
what is it, 7 million people going to comic book conventions every year. There's only 70 comic book conventions in the United States of America every year. There's only 52 weeks in the year, as I understand it. 70 comic book conventions. And then it's going to increase by 30 or 40 within the next year. 20 conventions in Canada, conventions in London, conventions in Europe, conventions in Japan and Australia. We are taking over the world.
One comic at a time.
No, a lot of comics, a lot of comics. I told them not to cross me.
And now you're in business.
Exactly.
Where can they find all these extra sketches that you're doing? Can they order it online? Yes, they can.
Yes, I can. You can go to nealadams.com. My son runs the site. He makes me sign everything. We're a little expensive because I'm who? Neal Adams. And everybody go to nealadams.com. You can find out what's new in comics, what's going on. You can find out what's going on at our studio. You can buy drawings, and you can yell at me, which is very good. Then I'll yell back at you, which I actually like to do. Yelling is good with capital letters. You ever notice on the internet when you write in capital letters, everybody goes, "Why are you yelling at me?" I'm not yelling at you. I'm right. It's for emphasis. It's for emphasis. That's all. That's all I have. I mean, if I curse at you, you accuse me of being
Do you
bad.
want to say that word one more time?
No, I don't. I don't like the word anymore.
We got a good 4 or 5 shits in there, I think.
It seems to me I got over that word about 2 times ago.
Oh, well, anyways, but thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
It's a
Everybody,
pleasure. Now they're acting like girls again.
Neal Adams the Great, everybody. Thank you so much. Check him out.
Pleasure. Lovely to see you guys.
Thank you.
They're acting like girls again. What does it take? You just
Take
turn
care.
the page and. Ooh.